story, you know, for the proscribed separatist group, the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, these are not the best of times. The Enugu State Police Command said it killed 3 operatives of the Eastern Security Network, ESN, in Igbo-Eze, North, local government area of Enugu State. Some weapons were recovered too. The State Commissioner of Police, Ahmed Ammani, reaffirmed the police's unwavering commitment to weed out unrepentant criminals in the state. Now, considering that IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu had ordered an end to the senseless sit-at-home exercise, one expects the days ahead, especially for the unknown gunmen, to be numbered, Dari.
Well, we all listened to the report about what Kanu has said about IPOB and ESN. But it still bothers one that some people somewhere will listen to someone else, especially when the instructions being given are contrary to the claims of IPOB itself that it is fighting for the people of the southeast Nigeria. Something that destroys their economy, a directive that makes them less active on particular days. So much so that somebody decided that for the next 2 weeks or so, there must be no economic activity. And then the leader or founder of the group, as it were, said, look, this is not why we were formed. This is not the way we should go. I've proscribed sit-at-homes. I've outlawed incidents where you prevent people from carrying out their lawful engagement. But I think it behoves on the governors of the states in the southeast and the federal government to now go all out to ensure that we see an end to this lawlessness. It is sheer lawlessness. Yeah. And if it is not proscribed now, if it is not ended now, we'll see such thing rearing its head in other parts. Already I read a report that some pro-Biafra groups somewhere in the South-South are also clamoring for similar actions on the part of their own men.
That's a little curious because the South-South had distanced
itself from, but now some people gathered themselves claiming to be pro-Biafra agitators coming from the South-South.
I dare say they are doing so on the ground.
Well, it is because we have not been able to end the activities of these ones in the Southeast. That's why others are towing the same line.
It can only mean that Kanu is losing control as leader, or that an unseen hand is at play.
You mean if
the sit-at-home and what have you, vis-a-vis the story we're talking about?
They didn't say they were killed while trying to enforce sit-at-home.
Yeah.
IPOB still exists. Let's not deceive ourselves. IPOB still exists. ESN still exists. So Kanu did not say that it was disbanding IPOB. Kanu did not even say anything about ESN. What he said was that no one should force people to sit at home on Mondays anymore, and that no form of sit-at-home should happen, because in the past, IPOB, which instituted that strain of civil disobedience in the first place, came out to say it should happen only on days that Kanu is brought to court. But the cultists and other outlaws who hijacked the whole thing would not listen. So on Mondays, they will come out to beat up people, to shoot people who choose to go to work. Now, Kanu has said that, IPOB has said, Mondays are now economic empowerment days in the Southeast. Those are days when people who are educationally disadvantaged should be helped. You know, the IPOB also admitted that sit-at-home had destroyed the economy of the Southeast.
Oh, yeah.
And that there was a need for the Southeast to recover from the setback. So, for now, Kanu has nothing to do with sit-at-home. If anybody is enforcing sit-at-home, that person is not doing it at the instance of Nnamdi Kanu or a Mapafu or anybody in IPOB. One fellow sits in Finland telling our people to sit at home. Sometimes he will even prescribe, he will even direct them to sit at home for a whole week. Sometimes he will say, okay, there will be curfew in this particular place. And you are thousands of kilometers away. You work, you earn your living over there, you are living a life of pleasure and luxury, but you are telling our people to not work,
putting them into
to not work
misery
on the most important day of the week. Even in these difficult times, those who are working, it's like they are not working. You are telling people not to work. So we have issues to deal with in the Southeast. The insecurity, the killing of people. People came home for December. Some of them never got the opportunity to go back. Yeah. Some of them left Lagos here, and they never came back. They were either kidnapped and killed while in captivity, or shot at while trying to flee from kidnappers. So there's a need to address the problem of insecurity in the Southeast. And I'm happy the current service chiefs, especially the Chief of Army Staff, who used to be a GOC in Enugu himself.
82 Division.
Yes, he has made it clear that, look, we are going to secure our people the best way that we can. The people of the Southeast, hardworking, enterprising, and inventive people of the Southeast, they don't deserve to be forced to sit at home when they want to work. Everyone knows now that Akwa Ibom, your state, is a big beneficiary of the carnage that is going on in the Southeast, because the Igbo man prefers to open his container on Monday morning because you won't let him do that. You would rather divert the cargo to Akwa Ibom State. Akwa Ibom people, Asaba in Delta State, they're spitting distance away from Anambra. They are the ones enjoying, their own economies are doing better now because of the activities of these brigands. So it has to stop. It's not a case of we not liking people of the Southeast or focusing too much. As long as there's insecurity in the Southeast, we'll focus on it.
Oh, yeah.
When we had problems in Borno State and all that, we were focusing on it. Today, there is a lot of improvement in Borno State. There's nothing to report. You won't go and invent a story that didn't happen.
Yeah.
There were times when they were overrunning military bases. We were talking about it. Even sometimes the army will claim that they actually repair those ones. A lot of lies at the time. But today, we know that those things are not happening anymore. Yeah. So that's the way it should be. The people of the Southeast deserve to be properly looked after by way of security.
Yeah. Then one becomes, shall I say, dispirited when somebody somewhere, as Jide said a while back, in faraway Finland, belching orders and the orders being believed here. As I said earlier, it means the IPOB commander here, so to speak, is losing touch, or I don't know, maybe.
I think it's just a case of a fifth columnist,
who
probably didn't have his way within the system. The IPOB, as it were, trying to create some dissidents who he now uses to disobey even the orders of the man he claimed to be.
I hear they are reaping benefits.
In a way, yes, there would be. You can't tell me that he chose to put everybody in the Southeast in such a situation without certain benefits coming to him for it, or to others like him. You see, it's obvious that while there are sincere agitators, let us not be concerned now about the rights and wrongs of what IPOB, Kanu, ESN stands for. Let us look at them as agitators who felt there is a cause to agitate for. There are sincere agitators, and there are those who are just opportunists, coming to look at the agitation and others and seeing where they could, reap. That's the way I see a man like the man in Finland who sits there. I'm sure he goes to his own work on Mondays. And when he feels like enjoying himself, he goes out to enjoy himself on Mondays. And then there are days he will say, for example, there are reports that the NYSC camp in the Southeast had to close earlier than others because of the 2 weeks sit-at-home order or something. They had to close earlier. And those who stayed back for one reason or the other had to wait till that there was some form of calmness before they could move. See, it goes beyond the people of the Southeast at such time. Other Nigerians. And that's why I agree with BKO that as long as there is insecurity in the Southeast, it is our business to talk about it. Yeah. Because those who also want to do business with Southeasterners are disturbed by this kind of order. So we should understand the fact that agitation, for whatever cause, should not deprive people of their freedom. Yeah. When you deprive people of their freedom, you are telling them that you are no longer fighting for them and not for their interest. And that's the way it's looking now.
Well, even the way he's going about it by labeling Nnamdi Kanu's handwritten letter as something instigated by the security forces or something authored by the security forces, by insisting that he needed an eyeball to eyeball
before he can
interface with Nnamdi Kanu. For someone is in detention, you are asking that you should have an eyeball to eyeball conversation with him in Finland. You didn't even say Nigeria because you are not prepared to come down here. You know? How is that practical? How is that going to happen? Who will put Nnamdi Kanu in a plane to take him to you so that you can then talk to him? I mean, it's silly to think like this.
A Zoom meeting?
No, he was just trying to make things difficult. Yes. He is not prepared to give up the battle until our people on their own, energized by Nnamdi Kanu's decision, go out and say, look, whatever happens, we want to continue to live our lives, and which will put him to shame, because once he's resisted in this end game, once he gets resisted, he will slip into obscurity. Nobody will talk about him anymore.
Quickly, just before we go, how about the talk about reaching out to the government of Finland to do something about the situation?
Yes, you know, the National Assembly told government to do that, advised government to do that, and should actually be arrested. But I believe that when the ministers are inaugurated and everyone gets his portfolio, hopefully we'll find an experienced maybe former ambassador or something who will man that ministry, and that person will then take it upon himself. We want to see him take it up as a project, as his own project, to ensure that the government of Finland helps us to lock this guy away.
Checkmate him.
We are not saying they should bring him here. He doesn't have to. Once you can prove that these are his activities, subversive activities and all that, he can be tried over there, because it is from there that he's committing those offenses. So it can actually be tried over there, because, you know, even that matter of jurisdiction came during Nnamdi Kanu's trial. That all of what you are saying is based there. So why did you assume jurisdiction over his matter? After all, the offense, he committed the offense over there. You know, they argued that in court. So I'm saying that Finland does not have to even send him here, because a lot of those countries, you cannot get someone extradited unless you go through a proper extradition trial, which can be time-consuming. But we are saying you can even help us put him on trial there and lock him away so that our people can have the peace that they deserve.
Put simply, checkmate him and end this rubbish. Okay, we go to our next story. You know,